Entertaining people has been in my blood since I was a child. Thriving off the attention of strangers was the prescription for my adolescent hyperactivity. Teachers were quick to write me off as out of control and a constant disruptor. Whoop-de-fucking-do. I turned out okay. But I'm like a fine wine. I get better with time. Wine educator, winemaker, cellar rat, harvest junkie. I'm Brandon Anders, and this is Wine Whoopee. The Hudson Valley, my home. Just 2 hours north of New York City, rolling hills, farmland, and the Hudson River, where I used to swim as a kid with my best friend and producer of this series. I chose to enter the wine industry to experience something new. It was hard for me to leave my friends, my family, and the only place I've ever known. After making wine in California for the past 2 years, I can now share my story about why the Hudson Valley and wine are so special to me.
The more time you spend up here, the more you feel it. There's an energy that I don't understand, but when people leave, they all have the same feeling. There's got to be something that touches people when they come up here, whether it's the serenity. I don't know what it is, but it's here. Went to Kaywood family, went to Wardell family, it went to Miller family, and then it came to me. So I'm the fourth owner in over 300 years, which is quite amazing in itself, you know?
That's as old as this country.
Yeah, pretty much. New Paltz, which is very close to us, was the birthplace of viticulture in America, we believe. The French Huguenots settled in New Paltz back in the 1700s. The vineyards here at Benmarl are known to be the oldest continuously producing vineyards in the United States. For that reason, it was named Benmarl by the Miller family, who I purchased the property from. Mark Miller, who was a pretty world-renowned illustrator, he had heard about this property that overlooked the Hudson, and he resculpted and replanted about 26 acres. And this is what we have today.
Victor's son Matt is the head winemaker at Benmarl. With no formal education in viticulture, he brings a realistic perspective to the challenges of making wine in the Hudson Valley.
So this room, we call it the wine library, kind of like a little step back in time as far as production goes. So starting on this side of the room, we have some of the wines from back in the early 60s, going all the way up around this way to wines that we're producing now. The majority of the wines are past their prime, but their value is not really in the quality. It's more of having a historical catalog of things that were produced here throughout the decades. The home farm here has a lot of slate, but the Hudson Valley in general is extremely diverse. It's a glacier-carved valley. Stuff was picked up in certain spots and dumped in other spots. It's really, really site-specific.
What do we have here?
This is our 2016 Cabernet Franc. Comes around 2.5 weeks on the skins, and then 16 months in 2 to 4-year-old French oak.
Okay. So what do you like about Cab Franc?
It just fits our climate really well. And I'm talking about New York, but here in the Hudson Valley, it's pretty much all I really want to plant anymore is that. Certain varieties just in cooler climates like here in the Hudson Valley, they don't ripen well enough. Where Cabernet Franc, we make beautiful rosés out of it, as well as different styles of red wine, depending on the year. Our motto, winemaking-wise, is embrace the vintage. If it's gonna be a cool year, make real nice, pretty wines. And if it's gonna be a hot year and a big year, yeah, go for it, make a big reds. But if you're trying to hit this really consistent mark, it's so hard in this climate. That's why harvest is so much fun every year.
I was gifted a signed copy of his most famous book, Windows on the World Complete Wine Course. I got ballsy and I reached out to him. To my utter surprise, he is here with us today. I'm with Kevin Zarelli, wine educator, the whole bang.
I'm in the first winery that I was ever in my entire life. I was 20 years old, so to be back here at Benmarl Winery is a fantastic experience for me. And a toast, by the way.
Hey, cheers.
Because this is the Benmarl Baco Noir 2015, so it's right out of the cask, so to speak.
State fruit.
Now I feel better. I just want you to know, I needed that first sip of wine.
Yes.
All my anxiety is
yourself.
gone.
So tell me just a little bit about who you are and how you got into this business.
As a matter of fact, I made a joke last night that when I had my first glass of wine, it was a 1945 Burgundy, and again, I was 19 or 20, and I was, at that time, I was drinking Budweiser, college student. So I went directly from Budweiser to Burgundy and never looked back.
What is your style or your palate geared towards?
A balance. It doesn't make any difference if it's a $10 bottle of wine or a $1,000 bottle of wine. If there's no fruit in there, I got a problem with it. So I'm looking for, it's fruit driven. And I always make a joke, what do you think it smells like? Well, wine, start with that. And guess what? Grapes, they're all going all over the, cedar and all this other kind of stuff, and plums, and it's grapes. Start with that.
As far as the Hudson Valley is concerned, what do you think makes this place so special?
So I'm very, very lucky because I grew up in the Hudson Valley and I live in the Hudson Valley. I mean, I travel, as you said, but I live right here in the Hudson Valley. It is the birthplace of American viticulture. Here we are at the oldest vineyard in the United States. People don't get that, understand it, but it's true.
George Washington wined and dined at several of the area's establishments even before he was president. The Hudson Valley is a fucking old place.
I found a book here in the attic one day, and it was like a child's pop-up book. When you opened up the centerfold, this whole thing popped up, and it was exactly what you saw here. The main residence in the middle, you had the winery to the right, and then you had the carriage house to the left. So it was kind of opening up this book and seeing where he got his ideas from and how he developed the property. I always wanted to meet Mark because reading his book and being on his property and realizing what he did, I wanted to touch him, I wanted to just feel his hand. But I never had the opportunity to do that. He passed away. They had a memorial for him up here. And when the memorial was over, they brought out this little cannon and they put his ashes in there and they blew his ashes all over the vineyard. Mark lives here forever.
Showing up late to the party has been my MO for years. And believe me, I've missed many opportunities due to being late. However, I'm a believer in seizing an opportunity when the timing is right, like knowing the right moment to pick grapes. Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, now look at this. Veraison is the beginning or onset of the ripening process. The grapes start to swell with juice and they start producing those wonderful sugars that will eventually be turned into alcohol to create that tasty beverage in that glass that I'm sure you all are drinking right now. I'm just gonna actually take one of these off here and see what they look like. All the juice that it's in a grape is clear. It's all clear, but in red wines get their color from the skins. So. Super sour. Another month and a half, these will be sweet as dessert. Not all grapes are successful every year. Some fail on the vine. I've had my fair share of failures. For example, poor Miss Kovacs literally had to hold my hand daily as she struggled to teach me algebra, only for me to forget it all the next day. So, a tornado came through here. What was your first thoughts?
Sounds stupid. We were outside because we got the tornado warnings, but we went outside to take a couple pictures before the storm came, and we actually had to run in. The pressure was so strong, I couldn't close the door going into the cellar. It was just sucking it out. We had a couple trees come down over 3 rows, but luckily the way they fell and everything, we really didn't lose any vines. Didn't even take the wires out, just laid on top of everything. That was good, but it was scary. It was really intense.
With a frost or even a wildfire, the entire vintage could be lost. You could wake up one morning and the world you knew before is changed forever. Tell me about what it was like running this restaurant in New York City at the World Financial Center all the way up until 9/11.
Correct. I was there for 25 years. A lot of people don't even know there was a restaurant there, but it was the #1 dollar volume restaurant in the world in September of 2001, and also sold more wine than any restaurant in the world in those days. You know, we lost 72 people that day. Some from my wine department. The most important thing is to keep it in your memory and keep talking about it. After September 11th, I said, the last thing I want to do is teach wine. It doesn't mean anything anymore. My therapist, this is his exact words, he says, you need to do what you do best or you're gonna die as well. We all go through trauma and you gotta get out of it, you gotta move on. I mean, you always gotta remember, but you gotta move on. So, and this is what's keeping me going.
One word to describe wine from the Hudson Valley.
How much time do I have? One word, huh? One word?
Say whatever.
Let me drink to that.
I'll do that too.
Yeah, good. It's evolving. It's still evolving, even though we're at the oldest vineyard in the United States. They're changing. Here, right at Benmarl, they're changing.
Now, to my favorite part. We get to taste and celebrate all the hard work that goes in to making some of the best shit on the planet.
So we have some ones that we want to highlight. It's grown right here on our Ridge Road property, so it's one of our estate wines. It's something that we strive in. Not too many people heard of Sauvignon Blanc. It's a white aromatic blend, and it's something that grows right here really nicely in Marlborough.
Oh man, it's got like a peachy, almost like a stewed peach nose to it, but it's just very fruity too.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's very easy drinking, very, like refreshing, very clean, very crisp. All right, so next up is gonna be our Reserve Riesling. Now this one's different in the fact that it's pretty much bone dry. It's only got 2 grams per liter of residual sugar, but very citrusy, very lime.
It's interesting, it does taste like a Riesling. It does smell like a Riesling. And this is, how old is this?
This is 2016.
2016, so very young. But even for young, it's weird. You would predominantly get that out of an old Riesling. I'm not quite getting the quintessential or typical, petrol notes to it, but I do get like a fresh garden hose.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like rubber, like something rubbery, like that.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing. Just,
Yeah.
just it's interesting. Like I don't know, I'm very sensitive to those kinds of things.
So this is the new one. It's not released yet. So we
Okay.
just bottled it about a month ago. It's our 2016 Proprietor's Reserve, predominantly Merlot and Cab Franc.
Wow, it's really nice.
It's probably spent about 16 months in mostly 2-year-old French oak. It's our top of the line, like highest quality red wine that we produce here at Benmarl. It's all free run, so it's very
Wow.
gentle pressing.
That's the most high quality juice
It
you
is,
get.
yeah.
That is really good. And you said this is not released yet.
This is strictly a winemaking blend. Try to make the best blend possible and the best red that we can produce here at Benmarl.
I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here. I love this place. I want it to be successful. I want it to carry on, hopefully, in my family for generations. But this place is for everyone. There were gates at the end of the driveway. I took them off because I never want them to be locked. I don't want to deprive anybody from coming up here. This is for everyone to enjoy, everyone to come and feel it and experience it. That's what it's about.
How do you describe a wine region you grew up in but knew nothing about? If I had stopped to smell the grapes, I probably would have realized that this region was the terroir version of myself. I'm a late bloomer at everything I've tried in life. I don't grasp things easily, and I work really hard to barely understand something. The wines of the Hudson Valley have the potential to be whatever they want to be.